this March 23 Brown County Commission meeting to order. Commissioner Clifford, would you lead us to the pledge, please?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipley to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, we got the second reading of ordinance 190, a rezone ordinance.
Okay, ordinance 190, a rezone ordinance filed by Dave Shoemaker to change the zoning from chapter 4.14 highway commercial district to chapter 4.07 mini ag district. Legal address is lot 1, Dave Shoemaker addition in the northwest quarter of section 22 T123 north dash R63 west of the 5th T in Brown County, South Dakota. Physical address 1223 92nd Avenue South.
Second. Moved by Kipley, second by Piker to authorize the second reading of ordinance 190, a rezone ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, we have a second reading of ordinance 189, Fair Board Expense Authority Revision.
Okay. Ordinance 189 and ordinance to amend Title 16, Chapter 16.02.05, specific responsibility. Second revision, Brown County Ordinance is amended. Changes are in line 6, approve all contracts that do not require a formal bid or code per Brown County policy manual under purchasing policy and replacement procedures for signature by fair manager. Contracts that do require formal bid or code will be sent to the Brown County Commission for final approval.
Move it. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the second reading of ordinance 189, it's a Fair Board Expense Authority Revision. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We got a few minutes. Jeanette, would you want to go through a couple of your things?
Okay. Approved general meeting minutes of March 16, 2021.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipley to approve the general meeting minutes of March 16th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Weiss to approve claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report.
Move. Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Sutton to approve the HR report. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Fair contract.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the fair contracts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Fair board appointment.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipley to approve a fair board appointment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Set bid date for leaf chemical.
Move. Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Weiss to approve the set the bid dates for the weed chemicals. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Plat.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Weiss to approve the plats. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sheriff's report.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the sheriff's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Auditor report of accounts.
Move. Second. Good one.
Moved by Weiss, second by Sutton to approve the audit reports of accounts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abatements.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Weiss to approve the abatements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We have an addition, leave.
You can.
Yep,
Oh.
leave camp for holidays.
Move. Second.
What was that? I didn't hear what you said.
There was a lease,
Oh, lease, the additional lease?
yep.
We have a motion by Weiss, second by Sutton to approve the additional lease. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You got it right?
Yep. Unless you have something.
Well, look at here, Dirk, we're right on time. You're not up next.
Nice.
Next, we have Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent. We have a right-of-way and a department update.
How's everybody today?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I got 4 right-of-ways from Northern Electric. Now, we've been in here doing those ones for that other bigger project. These are not part of it. These are just specific, normal, everyday ones we would have had. But, all 4 of these are for Northern Electric. All 4 of them are done by Schmidt Construction. And all 4 of them are just boring under the road. So that's all this is covering, is all the borings, and I'll show you where they're at. They're all for electrical service. This one's down here at Strom's on 21. Right there's one of them. This one is on Tacoma Park Road right there. I didn't have any issues with any of them. Except this one, we'll go to that one last. Let's see, this one is... I said that wrong. This one is for Strom's. That first one is... one mile off. So there's 2 of them on 21. One is right there, 1 mile off at 37, and the other one is right there. And then the 4th one is, I don't have an issue with it. It's right above the railroad tracks by Mid-States on 14 there, North RDO. I'm gonna call them back and just make sure they're aware, because by the looks of the signs, the state, as soon as somebody makes asphalt, the state's gonna be paving all that as part of the detour for the project that's coming through town there. So, outside
Under
of,
14, is it?
yeah, this
Under Highway 14?
yeah, it's parallel to the tracks, and it's just a little bit north of there. I'm just, you know, they want to get in the railroad right away, that's their business, but
I was just gonna say, if
they better make sure they're out of
the railroad right away.
With the exception of just making everybody aware of that one because of the location right by the railroad tracks on the east side of town. I don't have any issues with any of these. I'd recommend approval.
I'll move them.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the right-of-ways for Northern Valley. Is that what it was?
Northern
Yep.
Electric.
Northern Electric.
I'm sorry.
Are those rural ones that I go from
All in
overhead to
favor?
underground?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You know?
Some of it is. You know, and I don't know, I know it's a cost per mile thing and where it's at in the terrain, because they updated,
I'm just curious.
no, I think it's both, because they've recently updated some of those, and I don't know why you put in new poles versus put it underground, you know?
Yeah, well, there's different technology depending on what's available for materials and all kinds of other
Sure.
stuff, but I was just curious.
I think it's both. Department update is nothing too exciting, unless you guys have some secrets. But, we're patching, little coal mix patching, a lot of treeing right now. The one thing I want to point out is, Road 11, you know, you saw what Mr. Howell brought in last week. So, I'm gonna bump that up. I mean, he makes some good points there, and it's only a couple, 3 miles that are in really bad shape. So, I got it in there for 2 years in the future. I'll try to work it into this year, because it's going to hell so bad. We're gonna have the same thing next year, I would assume, if we don't fix it. So, I'll try to do that without asking for any more money. I might come back to mention that extra $100,000 that we got in the STP money to get spending authority for that if I get late in the year and doesn't look like we're, you know. But my intent is to do a lot of paving. Hopefully, we kind of lost a little ground last year, so I want to try to make that up. So, I didn't even tell you what I wanted to tell you. So on that Road 11 and on Road 23 east of Stratford, it's another area where we've got, it's a road, both those roads are open. You know, they don't get posted, so you gotta do a little more beef to them per se. And so those will be getting gravel on top of them. Okay, I'm telling you that right now, that where it's broke up right now, we'll take the chunks out, we're gonna fill them up with gravel, and then it's all gonna get milled up and stabilized with chemical and add gravel. And, you know, the thing that we the expensive thing that works, basically, is what we'll do there. So when people know we're not going back to where this isn't a permanent deal, it's just that there's no sense in throwing a bunch of cold mix in there when I know we're gonna have to cover everything up with gravel in order to mill it up. And, you know, as soon as the low limits are off and the frost is out, we'll mill some of them up. And then they'll get paid back. We'll pave the ends of the bridge, you know, we'll get all that put back together on 11. So that's
2.5 miles?
yeah, we'll actually, again, it'll be a little bit money juggling there, but if I can get if we can work in the whole thing all the way.
From
we
281 east to the top of the hill, or?
all the way to Columbia, I hope. Because
really?
when you get past 14, so like from the Hull Pit entrance over to 14, that's pretty good. It's been repaved in the last 5, 6, 7 years, something, since I've been back. From 14 over to 16 at Columbia, there's pieces in there that are okay.
I know.
There's pieces in there that are a minefield too. So I want to get that patched back together. So basically I kind of want to make it from 281 over to Columbia, so we got everything kind of put back together, and then we can do another micro-surfacing project over the top of the whole thing. You know, that's sort of my big picture thinking on that. So, but that's going to get bumped up a little bit. We'll see if we can just absorb it. We might be able to. We'll just have to see how things get going.
But you'll post that on a temporary basis so people know to slow down for them?
Yes, they're
Not for weight limits, but for
speed
intermittent gravel.
and loose gravel. We did get them up on 23 yesterday. I probably have to go remind them. You know, we had a weekend, so we got to start over every Monday, you know. But other than that, unless you guys got questions, did you get my email on that?
I see it here, I haven't read it yet. But
Well, I crossed up the two names is what happened, and I
Okay.
apologize for that. So I made it so that you lied to somebody because, but,
I'll call them, let them know I like
yeah,
it.
yeah, please do. The
You
initials
lied.
are the same, I think. I think that's what threw me off.
Maybe, yeah.
So that bypass that they're doing on 14 and coming up, the state's gonna pay for a bypass through Aberdeen, where's that going?
They're
8th
They're-
Avenue or all the way up to?
They're doing a detour up to, Moxon Creek, up to the corner to
Okay.
13, and then they'll pave from there over to Dakota Street.
Okay. And that's this summer?
Yeah, I tried to get them to do it last fall, and it was about 3 days before the state's drop dead paving date, so we didn't get it jammed in there. As soon as asphalt's available, I mean, they've got the detour signs up right now.
Are they up or laying in the ditch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've got, I don't think they've put them up yet. I think they're all laying
On-
in the ditch.
On
Getting-
14, they got them up, they got the
Oh.
no passing, they put in all the, see, once they pave over that, there won't be stripes, so they got the no passing zone, those, do not pass and pass with care.
But on 281, they've got.
Yeah, they're all laying in the ditch.
Laying in the ditch, ready to be put up.
So now would be the time to have a discussion if we want to take out that turning lane north of the railroad tracks.
Take out the turning lane north of the railroad tracks. Why is that?
So that we don't have to lower that speed limit
Oh.
anymore, we could up that again.
Well, that
We
way
used to have it.
that way
Good old days.
the crashes will happen at 55 miles an hour when you rear end the people waiting to turn in there.
I don't think we've had any there. That's-
Right, because there's a turning lane.
We did before that. Anyway,
So hopefully they're gonna have that done before they start on 6th Avenue.
Well, yeah, because if they don't,
It's
then
gonna
I'm
be a
gonna,
mess.
then I'm gonna be in here going, we gotta post some roads. Because that's not gonna, 14 will be okay. It's rough as hell, but the 2 miles on 13 will not, I mean, those cracks, where the cracks are, that's gonna blow out all along there if they start hammering down, so. I mean, that was the deal, they were supposed to do it that way, so we'll see what happens.
So when they're gonna do that surfacing, they're just gonna put it right over the top? They're gonna-
I can bring it, no, there's some scratch course in there, there's a level course on part of it, and then they'll come back over the top. There's milling, 2 sections of milling, one is at Camino Royale and one is at Prairie Wood, and so that we don't change the center line elevation of the road. I've already been told that Ross's office will get some action if we change that center line elevation of the road at those 2 locations, so, and I don't know how many people work over there, but there's a lot of attorneys in those developments somewhere, so. But
I'm
That's
just
where that's
concerned
at.
about that roughness coming through.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I'd have to look, I don't know if they're gonna pre-mill it, you know, do like a mill and fill and take off an inch or whatever. I was just happy to get $1 million worth of work for
Mhm.
just letting them use it, so.
Good.
I got plans on it, I'll look a little closer.
Sounds good.
All right, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a great
day.
You as well.
I'm gonna.
Next, we have public comment. I believe we have Carl Perry has a little legislative update for us. Carl, would you take a few moments and...
You bet. The one thing about legislative update, it's a long session, so there's a lot to cover, but I'll cover a little bit quickly. How's that sound? But we work, you know, with the commissioners, we work with the city, we work with the state, but the biggest thing is cooperation and communication, and that's why I'm here, is because a lot of times, I think in the past, we probably haven't shared enough with you what we're doing so that you know what we're doing. But we had 184 bills that the governor signed into law, which is a lot of bills. But the 2021 South Dakota legislative session came to a close. We had 37 legislative days, and every bill gets a hearing. It's opportunity to be weighed and vetted by 105 legislators that you elect to serve in Pierre. And this year was unique in many ways. South Dakota legislative session was perhaps the most normal in the country, and we have legislators still voting in person. And South Dakota had a record number of huge amounts of one-time money to invest on long-term future of our state. Some of the things that we did was we wanted to take these dollars and fix some problems for the next 20 or 30 years. And I'm going to tell you one problem we didn't fix, but we will, I promise, and that's for counties we need to do more. And combined $100 million to finish connecting the state to high-speed broadband. We think that's important. That will take care of the unserved and the underserved population in the state, as well as giving us more telemedicine, telehealth, and teleeducation. And we're putting $50 million into an endowment for the South Dakota Freedom Scholarship, which helps kids who need financial assistance to get a college degree. And then we're also putting the new Dakota Events Complex down in Huron as a destination for national, regional rodeo and other things. But we're putting record dollars into savings and trust funds to strengthen the state's budget for the future. What that means in simple terms is we have 10% set aside in our reserve fund, and our budget was $1.7 million, so that's $170 million set aside. We've increased it instead of 10%, and we're going to go to 12%, so that increases it by $35 million in the future. And some people call that the governor's slush fund. Whatever you want to call it, we'll at least have money available. And then we'll also have another $50 million that we're putting aside for trust also. We're improving the health care for South Dakotans by making it more flexible and affordable. And that's one of those things where some say, it's really not that great, but it is a lot better than it was. 77 is one that Al Norstrup and I worked on, which is font size for constitutional and interim initiatives, you know, so that when people get their opportunity to, you know, decide whether or not they're going to put something on the ballot, they can actually read it. And that went through really well. SB 97 was to put $20 million in railroad money. SB 47 was to take $9 million and appropriate it for state dams. Primarily Elm Dam is the one that they're looking at. That's really important for Brown County, and it's really important for Aberdeen. And then SB 162 is for airlines. What they did was they were going to go $2.1 or $2.2 million apiece for Rapid City and Sioux Falls, and that was hit with a little bit of resistance. And what it ended up being is 1.8 million for Sioux Falls, 1.8 million for Rapid City, and 200,000 each for Watertown, Aberdeen, and Pierre. So our airport did get some funding. And then we spent money on things like the USS Pierre, which is a new ship that'll be dedicated. And we're For interim committees, things that I suggested this year were mental health, affordable housing, community service providers, doing more with our counties. I think we need to figure a way to come up with some money for counties. One of the things that I discussed with one of you guys was maybe if we had a half a penny sales tax added on and we gave half of it to the municipalities and half of it to the counties, maybe we could get that to fly, because when we try to do it alone for the counties, it seems like they get slam dunked every time. And if they have the municipalities working with them, maybe that'll be the thing that takes to get going. 1262 is a bill that I put out there, and that was on kratom. Kratom is a substance that comes from Southeast Asia, and we had 3 deaths last year attributed to it. This way, if you're under 21, you can't have it, and if you can't purchase it, you can't sell it unless someone is 21. Cosmetology here in Aberdeen, Fallon Helm had a program with apprenticeships she wanted to promote, so we helped with that. 1271 is the Fairness for Women's Sports. That's one that's been vetoed. That'll be Monday's discussion. And the other one is marijuana. I've learned a lot more about marijuana than I thought I knew or would ever want to know. But and then the governor signed a bill to ban abortions based on diagnosis of Down syndrome. We decided to protect babies that were born alive. We simplified youth hunting. We empowered parental choice in education. We passed asset forfeiture reform with regards to conservation officers. So if you had a deer in your back end, they wouldn't take your truck and your car and your wife. They'd just take your wife. So it's we are our husband. They wouldn't take her. We are allowing landowners East River to hunt on their own land. And we codified the Department of Game Fish and Park policy on open fields. So those are some of the things that we hit on, and that's not everything, but I can answer any questions you have. But what I wanted to do today was just make sure that you know we're working for you and we're interested in what you have. The 3 legislators for this area are Al Norstrup, the Senator, Drew Jenner, and he farms, so he has an agricultural background. He's the youngest ever legislator in the history of South Dakota. And Al is now on his, next year will be his 20th year, so he's got a lot of experience. So, anything else you guys want?
Well, I got to say, I appreciate the fact that all 3 of you are very serious about what you do. You're very talented, you research, and you communicate very well with the public, and along with a lot of others in the region. The 3 of you, especially the way that you collaborate with each other and so forth, represent this area very well, and I along with a lot of others appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, we actually house together in Pierre, and so every night at about 8:30 we do Brown County Caucus, and we get together and we visit about different things. And so if we had a county issue and you needed to talk to us, you could talk to all 3 of us at the same time. We've done that like with the Aberdeen Public School, we've done it with Bryan College School and different people, and it gives them a chance to visit with all 3 of us at the same time, but it also gives us a chance to hear what Al heard, what Drew heard, what I heard, and what the constituent had to say. So it's a really good system. So if you ever need to talk to us, we're available. We're accessible, just like you guys are accessible. This is really a cool deal where you have a meeting like this where the public can come and visit with you. I mean, this doesn't happen all over the world. In parts of the world, they wouldn't have a clue who they're coming. 4.141 for roads and bridges type thing. This year it's 3.3 million, and we're working to get more for that in the future.
And that's one of the things I was going to allude to, that we've gotten one-time money 3 times now from the federal government that actually was out ahead of COVID. This was money that was being worked on before, and it's very critical to the counties. Side note, I understand there's 66 counties, and trying to find advantageous to everybody at the same time and throw it out there from a state level is just about impossible. I understand that, but there are a couple things that the legislature has been doing One is, if you can continue to match those federal bridge, these one-time federal bridge monies, because from some information I've had, those will continue to come subsequent years, and that's going to continue until the statistics, until the feds are placated with the way that the bridge statistics look.
Okay.
So when you put that money with it, it just completely changes the ease with which we can use that money. And so if you can just continue to support that with that match money, that has a huge impact. My other comment would be the railroads. Anything you can do to support the railroads. Again, back to my previous comment, you can't come in and we need $45 million to fix everything in the county. That's not happening. But if you can continue to promote the state-owned lines that run north and they run the other directions out of Aberdeen, that's all the loads are not on the county roads, and that is kind of a macro way to also have positive impact. So I got a hold, if you want to go drink whiskey all night at the RNA, I'll buy them for you and we can talk about a whole bunch of specific things.
I'm willing to do what a constituent.
Taking one for the team.
That's right. But having said that, I think those two topics are very, very achievable. They're very realistic, and they can be very impactful to a wide swath. It's not always going to match this border and that border and that border, but anything you can do with railroads like that is regionally going to help the roads that are, that you take all the loads off.
It's very impactful on a lot of levels.
Yes.
Both, helping out the local economy as well as minimizing the damage that you do on.
We spent money on SB 97 this year, $20 million, and that was the railroad that goes from Fort Pierre down to Rapid City. And a person can sit there and say, why would we do that? Well, number one, we had the money to be able to do it. But the other reason is that railroad was really basically useless for us because you could only go 10 miles an hour because it had not been built up for a long time. And they're going to basically rebuild the railroad, and they're going to make it so that a train carrying product can actually travel down that road. So, it's kind of like the Huron spending money for their DEX complex. It doesn't directly help Aberdeen, but everything that we do to help the state, I think, helps us indirectly. So, and we're in there going, me too, also, like the Elm Dam. They can spend their money on, or we can spend your money on a lot of different things, but it's nice when we're able to spend some of our money on our things. But if you want to know anything about marijuana, I'm ready to talk. I've learned so many things. I'm going to have to try the product, I guess. But I have to get sick first because we're just going to do medicinal to start off with. So.
Well, since you brought it up, I'm just curious because, locally, has it been settled what sort of zoning control local governments are going to have on placement and proximity to schools and other facilities?
Just in case somebody asks that question, I have my answer.
How is that evolving, I guess?
The governor is still interested in fixing IM-26's most obvious problems before July 1st because that's when it goes into effect. Changes could ultimately be done on veto day, which is coming up, or a special session, but we'll place a cap on the number of three plants for homegrown medicinal use. So a person can't have 4,000 plants in their backyard or whatever, and clarifies the language that allows the caretaker to home grow for a patient, prohibits the smoking of marijuana for anyone under the age of 21, clarifies the Department of Health's rulemaking authority relating to the chain of custody of marijuana, seed to sell, to avoid diversion into the black market areas, and accept some of this is the proposed language that we're looking at. This is not the approved language, but this is what we think is what we want. This is kind of what the governor has visited with our leadership, and our leadership and the governor have got together and said this would really help us out. Except some of the legislative proposals that were made relative to ingestion and possession of marijuana. Ingestion of marijuana is a Class 1 misdemeanor for those under the age of 21. Ingestion is no longer a crime for those 21 and older. Possession of 1 ounce of marijuana or 8 grams of concentrate is a Class 1 misdemeanor for those under the age of 21. and possession of 1 ounce, 8 grams for those 21 and older. First offense, petty offense; second offense, subsequent offense, class 2 misdemeanor. So those are the things that they're looking at right now. As far as the distribution network and things like that, there are so many things that are loose right now that I don't think anybody knows the answer. I know I don't know the answer, so.
I appreciate that, and just kind of a framework for, those that are making the rules too.
Yeah, well, we're looking at that, and then, the other one that's, I did a special sheet on was, because I was surprised you guys never asked, but on the style and form with HB 1217, that she was on Tucker last night, the governor, and that's a bill that she's wholeheartedly in favor of, but now she has changes on it, and NCAA and their money is definitely part of our decision process. So, anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Are they going to allow grow houses?
What's that?
Will they have grow houses in South Dakota, or what?
Well, the idea of the plants, being able to have the 3 plants, is that there's going to be things grown in South Dakota. But as far as whether there will be mass production, that I don't know. How it's going to be distributed, a dispensary, is Brown County going to be able to say we're going to have 10 dispensaries, or we're going to have 2, or is it going to be Aberdeen that controls it? I don't know all those answers, and I don't think anybody does. And July 1st is coming up really quick, so hopefully Monday we'll get a lot of those things answered, and we'll be able to give you more information.
So the tax dollars that's generated from the marijuana sales,
You'll get screwed as normal, but
that's what I was.
But,
you answered my question before you even got there.
This is the one thing.
Sugar-coated, though.
When I first got in this position, Dwayne and I think Mike brought me out to have a quarter-pound roll. So I knew something sweet was going to happen. But the bridge improvement grant. Things can make a lot of sense, but if it has to do with getting money for counties, they just don't do it. And we have a coalition of people now that are working hard for counties. One of your best advocates is down by Platte, Caleb Fink.
Mm-hmm.
That guy, he thinks, he's a farmer, so he thinks like a farmer, and he understands bridges and roads and things like this, and so he's a really good advocate for us. And so whenever he's working on a project, I'm always interested in what he's doing, because I know it isn't going to hurt us. So.
You brought up the Big Bridge program, and we haven't got enough time for me to go off on that either, but if you're ever going to entertain, and I'm being serious, it's become a bit of a sacred cow anytime I bring up trying to change that Senate Bill 1 from 2014 or 2015. But I don't think that, I think the perception of the benefit to the counties on that bill is a little bit inflated, more than a little bit inflated. And so I would like to do, if you ever get to a serious discussion, I would like to show you some of the impacts. Looks great up here, and it's shiny, and goes fast, and rides nice, and by the time you're down here looking at the minutia, we still got 67 counties scrapping for about 10 million bucks.
Yeah.
So it did a lot of good, and it's better than the old system, don't get me wrong, but there's been too many times where I've brought that up and I get, oh, wait a minute, you guys, we just hooked you up a couple of years ago. That's and I just think that the perception of how much benefit the counties got from that is a little inflated.
Well, the best thing that came out of Senate Bill 1 back, 5-6 years ago, was the 80-mile-an-hour speed limit on the interstate, because it, basically, when you get right down to it, diddly for county. I mean, and I don't understand why. I mean, that really is where the information came from when Senator Valley was working on that bill. That information came from the counties, the need to fix the county and roads and bridges, and when it ended up, the counties fell short on that too. I mean, you talk about the property tax funding. Education is a big problem for county government, because until you get another way of funding education, with the county getting 20% of the property tax, nothing's gonna happen. That's been going on for 35 years, and when you start working on that, maybe something can be done for the counties to get a better share of the property tax, rather than just 20% of what you pay in property tax. So,
Well, this is, this again is the communication part. You know, if we don't know what the issue, you know, we have 105 of us, and 105 people raise their hand and say, I swear to uphold the South Dakota Constitution and the United States Constitution. I had a recent meeting where I challenged the group. I said, how many of you have got a copy of those two things? How many of you have actually read them? And it's, you know, we might swear to it, but we haven't read it. And so we're going to actually have courses on that in the future. And this kind of stuff is really important for us to know. It doesn't mean that we'll be able to accomplish much, because I've tried with a few different programs for the county, and I voted with the counties on everything that I can so far. But just because I vote for something doesn't mean it's going to happen, because there's 105 people and there are a few rascals in there. So
Right.
Well, one of the things that, you know, when you mentioned 35 years ago that counties have been, and rightly so, very reluctant to exercise, was the flexibility of the mill levy, which was capped wherever it happened to be 35 years ago. And so the ability on a very reluctant basis for counties to exercise their discretion when they needed some additional revenue, especially if it was for, you know, a shorter period of time for a construction project or capital improvement project or something like that, just disappeared. You know, and regardless of wherever your mill levy was, and that was part of my argument back then, was, you know, right, wrong, or indifferent, you're stuck where you're at. And some were higher than, and some were lower, but it was, when it was instituted, that
I
was
went
it.
to
You
that
got what
land
you got, that's it.
valuation with you, and that's what's really good. But this guy here, we either wants a roller to talk to you, so I'll get out of the way.
really, what you're advocating, though, Mike, is increasing property tax.
Well,
And that's not gonna be a solution for the public or for county government. I mean, for one thing, the counties have never been able to pass opt-outs, and we're limited, so it's not...
But the limit wasn't there before. The
Yeah.
limit was a ceiling, and we're nowhere close to where that was, and haven't ever been anywhere close to that.
Well,
So
we've talked
the ability
about
to use
property
discretion-
tax relief with some of the money, that's one-time money, and it's kind of like, I know this is recorded, but no speaking English. You know, they was just like, whoa, we're not going to do that, we're going to spend that money. There are some of us that think property tax relief and things like this are very important.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, not all of us are thinking that way, so. But there are people that are working for counties right now, but there's not enough of us, so we'll keep working.
You bet. Appreciate it. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it. Thanks, Carl.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
This young man called me this week, Mr. Whiff, and he wanted to come in and visit a little bit about the site down on 281, so
Sounds
go
good.
ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I just don't really have much to tell you that you don't already know, except for, you know, me and my dad have been dreaming of buying Newell's used cars here for years, and a little over a year ago, he finally struck a deal with us. And, you know, we've been cleaning up the property and making it look nice and stuff, and it was always our intent to try to buy that little piece of land to the north of Newell's used cars from the city. And obviously, if the dump site gets moved there, we wouldn't be able to do that. That's basically all I had to say, is that, you know, we're kind of interested in buying that little piece of land there. Just wanted to bring that to your attention,
So
I
do
guess.
you actually have ownership of the Newells?
Not yet, we're in the process,
Okay.
but it's gonna happen, you know.
So you have a business there? Or
Yeah, me and my dad have a little trucking business. It's just 2 trucks, 2 trailers, and it's just us. Pretty quiet.
Sure.
Okay.
And the piece to the south too is the city,
Mm-hmm.
towards there.
Yeah, we'd like to end up with both the north and south, but I think we put a little higher priority on the north, you know, and we had, this kind of just came out of nowhere, like last week, we seen they were digging those holes or whatever, testing the ground. So we thought we'd see what we could do, I guess, you know.
What was your name? I'm sorry.
Hey, my name's Justin Whip.
Okay.
My dad's name is Levi Whip.
Okay.
Well, that's good to know. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
We're just exploring, you know, possible sites and then
No, I
owned by a local government, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul,
Appreciate
your
you guys.
uncle?
What's
Paul,
that?
your uncle?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Paul.
Well, he called me the night before last, and I told him to just stop by and just
Yeah.
share with the commission and
Yeah, it'd be pretty disheartening to see a dump site get moved into our dream property or, you know, right next door to it. But not to sound too self-centered or selfish, you know, but
Everybody else does, don't worry about it.
well, I appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah,
and
thanks for
listening.
swinging in.
Yes. Have a good day, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Anything else to come before the commission?
Move exec for personnel.
Contracts?
Well,
We got a motion, I didn't get a second.
Second.
Got a motion from Kipley, a second from Weiss to go into exec for personnel and contracts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We are out of exec and no action as a result. We have personnel and contracts. And I think Dennis has a little input he'd like to...
Yeah, I had a conversation with the Person County Highway Department during the week, and the question that I had for them was, how many loads of manure was brought from the beef packing plant to McPherson County in 2019 and 2020? There were 3,481 loads that were hauled to McPherson County. There were in early 2019, they were charging $50 a load. Then they went to $100 a load, but late 2019 and 2020, they went to $200 a load. It amounted to $355,850 is what they collected. And you divide the number of loads into the amount of money, it turned out to $102 a load is what it amounted to. $102 per load. And but anyway, as far as any type of administration or management, the loads have to be reported to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in Pierre. That's the number that the county goes on. Though that was the number, 3,481 loads is what was reported to DNR, and that's what the county collected on.
That was for the 2 years.
For the 2 years, 2019 to
About
2020.
1,500 a year.
Well,
Would be less than that, because that was...
no, it was 3,481 loads.
3,480, so it'd be 17 and change.
1,700 loads a
Well, that's a
year.
little more than $20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we were
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah. So anyway, if we get caught up a little bit, I will meet with Ross and we'll talk about the ordinance a little bit and see what we can come up with. And I mean, and I guess at this point, it's entirely, I mean, I'm just throwing this information out. If the decision is made, we're not gonna do anything, then it makes no sense to even have a meeting or have a discussion about it.
I
So
mean, even at $100 a load, that's $170,000 a year. I mean, that's a substantial dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
I asked
That's
too.
bad.
But are they gonna pay us and them for the same load?
Well, I
That's what
think...
we're talking about?
I don't know, I guess that would be...
The reason they were exploring Brown County, I think, is because the 200 got too expensive for them. So that's why they were looking for an alternate place to go.
I thought we were looking at putting the dollar amount on if they were going to be using our roads over east.
Yes, to Columbia.
Right.
Well,
I thought that's what the intent was. I didn't know if it was so much us trying to get money for what they're currently using on 5, but I guess it could be. I mean,
well, 5 is taking a hell of a beating when you're averaging 7 loads a day, because that's kind of what it comes out to, is about 7 loads per day going across Brown County 5. And I mean, I hate to see Brown County 5 ground up, because I use it to haul cattle too, and I mean, it could come to that.
oh, those gravel roads are so smooth though, Dennis.
But that was Dirk's point, how much are we gonna charge you for hauling cattle on it?
Well, It's all right. Whatever works. But anyway, I just,
Oh,
the other
good information.
yeah, the other thing too was that I asked the question about whether they have any problem collecting, and the secretary at the highway department said that occasionally they're a little late, a little slow sometimes, but they've never not gotten paid. So,
Okay.
okay.
No, that's good information, thank you.
Very good.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else come before the commission?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We got a motion by Sutton, a second by Kipling to adjourn. All